There is a third level of awakening, or a third depth of awakening, in the Zen tradition, which is not talked about much. It's, as far as I know, I'm the only one that's written about it. I'm not positive that's the case. I haven't read every book on Zen, but I haven't seen it in reference, and in doing research to write Demystifying Awakening, I couldn't find it referenced in any books. And it's called Daigo Tettei. And Daigo Tettei, Daigo means great. So this is the term meant for great enlightenment or final enlightenment. The reality is there's no limit to the number of awakening experiences that can happen. Zen Master Hakuin, who was the anchor for the Rinzai sect in Japan and really revitalized the Koan tradition, he identified that he had had countless Kenshō, more than he could even count, and that he had had 17 major awakenings, is how he framed it. So we could say 17 satori experiences and countless Kenshō experiences. So this shows there can be really a limitless number of awakenings that can happen. And the Daigo Tettei is a very particular awakening experience. The formula is fairly pretty much the same with Kenshō, Satori, or Daigo Tettei, meaning what happens in the awakening experience is the same. The difference with Daigo Tettei, where Kenshō and Satori are like a lightning bolt, there's just this perfect storm when all the ingredients are present, boom, it happens. The Daigo Tettei is a deliberate step-by-step awakening, where each stage or step is thoroughly experienced. It very thoroughly lands in consciousness, and there's an affirmation. The practitioner affirms their willingness to have this open and land in consciousness. And so this goes on, and there's also the resolution of some very core psychological issues. Most humans carry around at a deep level a sense of unworthiness. And this can show up where people can feel at their core, I'm unlovable, I'm broken, I'm bad, worthless, helpless, hopeless, all of these things. But it's at such a core level that the majority of people believe this as a foundational fact, something like gravity. We don't even question it. I know that I'm broken, I know that I'm worthless, I know that I'm unlovable, and it's believed with such conviction. I never question it, I never challenge it. It's just, I have this broken piece, that's it. And so that's one of the psychological issues that gets resolved in the Daigo Tettei process. And I say process to mean the psychological work before Daigo Tettei experience and in the process of the slow-moving realization. This core egoic foundation is broken, never to return. And part of the effect of the Daigo Tettei experience is the sense of self falls away and never reconstructs. So the few teachers I know that have had the Daigo Tettei experience have no sense of self. In relating to them, I mentioned in the Kenshō, there's still a sense of self at the core. In the satori experience, true nature takes over and becomes the foundation. In the Daigo Tettei realization, the absolute itself becomes the foundation. So when that individual self-references, who are you, and turns within, they meet the absolute. Whether it's the unmanifest functioning, so the emptiness, the absence, the blackness, the peace, the stillness, or the manifest, where there's the pure love, the unconditioned, perfect love. There's pure awareness, awareness with no concept. And there's presence. the beingness, the functionality, the here-ness of the Absolute. And when the manifest and unmanifest sort of pull together or move together, that's what activates the aliveness, the generative heart functioning of the Absolute, which manifests into creation of both form and formlessness. So all of reality, all realities come about in the same way. The Absolute gets into this certain recipe combination and it manifests as some life form. So these are the stages of awakening that are potential. And again, there's no limit, there's no end. So there can be a continuing realization, expansion, a dropping of the little pieces of identity that still can be in existence. In my new book that I'm just in the process of finishing, I go through the stages of consciousness. In the Yogacara school of Buddhism, there's understood to be eight levels of consciousness. The eighth is the storehouse consciousness, what's called the Alaya Vijnana. And it's believed that the Alaya Vijnana contains biju, these seeds, these karmic seeds. So everything we do produces karma, particularly what we do based on a sense of self or self-identity. It produces karma, and these biju are deposited into this Alaya Vijnana. And the karmic seeds influence and inform our self-identity. So as we have realization, as the biju that are inaccurate or wrong or get purified in the awakening experience, they're released or purified in such a way that they no longer are part of the composition of that collection of biju or karmic seeds. And so the self-identity changes. In the new book, I go through each level of consciousness, how it's affected by the different realizations. I won't go into all of that now, it's fairly complicated. But just to say, there is a purification that goes on. And practice is the number one way to purify these biju. So that's why by doing sustained home practice, by doing regular retreat practices, you find you're changing, becoming more refined, becoming more purified. That's what's happening, is the biju are being purified in practice.